the child settles. And having said that, the Rethinking 2030 a time as this. And I would also like to acknowledge and you may also ask yourself as the ethics of our work, one that upholds the quality standards required by the
Now, most of the governments have converged that we need to invest heavily in education because long-term growth and development of a country, stability, peace and progress depends on building a knowledge-based society. Ladies and gentlemen, early childhood education is a cornerstone to the success of an education system. Some time back, early childhood education was the luxury confined and accessible to the elite, the rich and the privileged. And therefore, that itself created inequity to children accessing primary education. The foundation was flawed because the rich, the elite, the privileged could access to early childhood education and have a better footing for primary education, while the poor, those in the interior rural areas, did not have access to that foundation to get leverage into primary education. So, the inequity in education was contributed right from the early childhood education inaccessibility. Therein was the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important people in the EC sector are our innocent children. And the early years are very important. Early childhood education does not refer to kindergarten schools only, as commonly referred to. Rather, it covers all forms of education and at all places from birth till age 8. Unfortunately, up till now, people only see early childhood education as what you get in kindergarten schools. But that's not true. It includes education at home, at religious places, at daycare center, in preschools, up to Tier 3 studies in primary school, which sometimes we refer to as infant education. These settings, home, religious places, etc., provide different opportunities for different kinds of education to be given to the child. An opportunity that should not be wasted if we want to mold our child in his or her formative years so that we secure a prosperous future for them. My feeling is we are wasting this time. We're wasting this time, particularly from 2 to 4. At home, nannies, grandparents, how do we engage with the child? You know, this movies in the daytime, that family movies, what we call that, Gar Gar Kelly and all those kind of stuff, has no relevance to the child's growth and development. And unfortunately, that's what our children are exposed to at that early stage when their mind is hungry for knowledge, when their mind is in the formative stage. We need to capture that. We need to take control of that time. We can't waste it. What kind of cartoons our children watch? How relevant it is to their growth and development for the kind of child we want to help. How relevant it is to contemporary Fiji. Growth of mental and physical abilities progress at an amazing rate and a very high proportion of learning takes place in this particular age, from just over 0 to 8. It is time when children particularly need high quality personal care and learning experiences, not to subject them to violence, fear, which will have a long-lasting impact on them. When children are young, they are learning sponges. Every new experience, every word they learn, every behavior they adapt is an investment in a more fruitful future. You can never create a greater impression on a person than what they are in the early childhood years. Early childhood education is about improving and molding the holistic child, which will eventually form the basis of their lifelong journey. Thus, this strong foundation will eventually lead to a strong society and nation. I was sharing an experience yesterday with my colleagues. Yesterday, the daytime, I was with my son, who is in year 3, and we were doing meditation together. So I told him that there's a light in your pelvic bone, and you focus on that. And he did it for 1 minute, and I said, "Did you see the light?" He said, "No." I said, "No, try again." So he did it again. I said, "Did you see the light at the pelvic bone?" He said, "No." I said, "No, there's a light. You close your eyes, focus on it." In the third attempt, he was able to see the light. Now, the two things. One is, I was able to get him to concentrate. Concentrate and visualize that there's a light at the pelvic bone. Now, later on I found out that he was discussing with his mother that there's a light there. So he's got it, that if he meditates, there's a light which he can see. And that will be with him forever. The second is about ability to get your mind to stabilize and concentrate on an issue that you want to learn. The problem is there's so much distractions now that our children are not able to concentrate. And therefore, we need to get them to start meditating so that they're able to stabilize their mind, so that they can concentrate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the age. This is the age of children where we need to get them to shape up their thinking, shape up what they should like, what they should dislike. Ladies and gentlemen, as I alluded to earlier on, ECE teachers play a very pivotal role in the development of this foundation in our nation, as they form that link which connects the children from the home to school. And you'll note there's a paper on that about how you allow the transition to take place, coming from the comforts of their parents to the school for the first time ever. Our early childhood teachers need to dedicate themselves to helping children learn and grow and develop their full potential, and to helping parents, families, and communities build strong communities. We are a country of diversity. Diversity in cultural, religious activity, lifestyle, food, clothing, festivities. These diversities must be reflected in our ECE centers. It's amazing level of diversity we have here. And there's a paper today discussing about how do you structure the ECE center to reflect the diversity. Our ECE teachers and school managers must have the knowledge and sensitivity to monitor and educate all students well. To do so, we must understand how culture, language, socioeconomic status, and gender influence teaching and learning. So there's a lot that our ECE teachers need to have to be an effective teacher or effectively deliver that particular stock of knowledge that we want to. It is very different from a normal primary school or high school teaching. Very different. And therefore, you have an enormous task. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, we also must play our part at this early stage to expose technology to our children. You'll be surprised how much knowledge children have about technology. They will question you, and you need to prepare yourself. You need to be a step ahead. The curriculum that we have must articulate creativity amongst our children. And methodology of discourse at ECE centers will be a blended mode consisting of dramas, group activities, musical activities, visual arts, and discourse on moral value. So the question is, how do you, at that stage, develop a curious mind? Curiosity is what will contribute towards pushing the frontier later on in their life. What do you do in the school environment to create the curiosity among children? Create a competitive mind. What kind of games you play with the child that will develop a competitive mind, that get them to think big, rather than just taking whatever is given. I think these are some of the critical questions that you need to ask, and the speakers today will be dealing with this. And that is why you would have noted the kinds of topics we have today, which we want all the ECE teachers to listen carefully when the presenters are presenting, when the speakers are presenting. Because this is what we want you to take back. There's something that we want you to take back with you. Some of the things that the speakers might say, you know, but some of the things that would be new to you. Some of the things would answer some of the burning questions in your mind. And of course, you also will have an opportunity to ask questions during the question and answer time, or during tea time or lunch time. Ladies and gentlemen, our Prime Minister has stated long back that the nature of future Fiji will be determined by how we nurture and educate our children. Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Bani Marama, is one of those leaders in the country, in the world, who have decided that if we want to contribute towards long-lasting peace, stability, and growth and development in Fiji, we need to educate everyone in this country, immaterial of what ethnic group they belong to, what religious belief they hold, or where they originate from, whether they originate from Undu Point or Yasawas or Squatter settlements. Everyone should be given an opportunity to go to ECE, primary school, high school, and university. No longer children's education is a factor of, or is a function of, the parents' income status. It is a function of government's income status, and this government is investing massive amount of resources. Never before we had a budget where 24% of the overall allocation was channeled towards education sector. 24%. Never, ever before. The UNICEF benchmark for education as a percentage of overall budget is 14%. We have got 24%, including allocations for hotels and toppers and tertiary institutions. Ours is 24%. Because we need to catch up on the neglect over the past 3 to 4 decades. The inequality in our education system amongst schools that you notice, those who are coming from islands here today, and you compare the primary schools and high schools here, you will see a glaring inequality amongst the quality of infrastructure. And that is because of the neglect of the past governments over the last 3 to 4 decades. And we are playing a catch-up game. But we're steadily working towards ensuring that no parent ever feels, who is from Esavos or Kandavu or Lomaiviti, that I think I better take my child to a primary school in Suva or Lautoka, Natambua Primary or Rishikul Primary or Nehru or Holy Trinity, because my child will not get better education in this island. We don't want that to happen. We want the child in the interior, in the maritime zone, to get the same quality of education as a child is getting here in urban areas. And we're working towards that, and our team is working very hard. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be discussing, as alluded to earlier on, key papers, key topics in the thematic area of cherishing and educating our children for an equal and prosperous future. Equal in material of where they originate from. They'll get an equal education for building a prosperous future for them and a prosperous, secure future Fiji. I want to thank all of you who have come here. We have got about 938 ECE centers in Fiji registered under the Ministry of Education, with 1,235 registered teachers looking after 14,544 students. This number will grow because as we provide more resources, more funding to communities, more ECE centers are coming up, and more parents are now bringing their children to ECE center because no longer they have to pay any money. No longer. No longer a child has to pay a single cent to get their child, parent has to pay a single cent to get their child to the ECE center, because this government, the Bainimarama government, has removed tuition fee in ECE centers. We have now also raised, the government has now, Honorable Minister for Economy, Honorable Kayyum, announced a couple of months ago that all your salaries will be raised from this month, which is in the next pay, first week of September, I believe. So our Minister for Economy, Honorable Kayyum, is very particular, as is our Prime Minister, about investing in education. This is the beginning. More will come, and as we move on, we will make those announcements about how we are getting this sector to grow. Like we have a secondary department, like we have a primary department, we will also have a fully fledged ECE department. Ladies and gentlemen, with these words, I want to wish you all a very fruitful discussion today, and I look forward to interacting with you, and I do hope that you will find this a very enriching conference. And as I alluded to earlier on, next year we will try to look after all your expenses. This year we decided to look after partially those traveling from islands and Bongolevu. But I do understand that's not enough. What we have allocated for, you have spent a lot to come here, and we will definitely have a better deal next year. And I want to thank all the speakers who, in a very short period of time, agreed to present. Our plenary speakers, Dr. Tiko and Dr. Potu, and our other speakers in the session. These are very experienced, very well-researched person, and we're all looking forward to listening to the papers, and I do hope that you will benefit from the presentation. With those, thank you. Nakandanawa.